everybody, and welcome to This Week in X, presented by Crushing Comics. I'm here with my friends Harry and Fariha to talk about X Factor number 8. It was out on the 10th of March, 2021. And we're going to dig into everything there is to dig into about this issue, which means we're going to spoil it fully, as well as probably spoil other things happening in the Marvel Universe and the X-Men line. So this is a full spoilers conversation, and that is your warning. X Factor number 8. To begin, we're going to start with our lightning round of reactions, and then we're going to get much deeper. So Tyler, lightning round opinions on X Factor number 8.
While I'm a coward and hates horror slasher movies, and part of this issue certainly felt that way, I still enjoy this issue immensely. I mean, it is fun, it is fast-paced and full of intrigue, and most importantly, competence porn. I mean, add to that the beautiful art from Baldion. This is a solid 4.5 wink wink out of 5.
Lightning round, Fariha, what did you think of this issue?
Well, X Factor is not slowly, but has become one of my favorites of all the X Factor X titles that's out there right now. And this week's issue, I'm still in love. I loved it. It was a lot of horror element, but then it was a lot of competence porn things that was going on, and then at the end of the day, things get resolved, and it's just a lot. A lot was going on, and I'm still in love. Not a lot of character moments that we have seen before. So, but it is the team coming together and getting something done. So, loved it. I am all in. More X Factor every week.
Yeah,
Harry.
All right, so this issue was good. It was very strong. I think the issue is, this is not my favorite issue of this series, not by a long shot. But the problem is this series is so good, it is hard to be at that level issue to issue to issue. I think this issue is a visual showcase. It's just Baldion just continuing to top himself. I think the story here is the art. The plot is kind of simple. There was an attack and they've kind of regrouped. That's basically all that happened. So really, I think Fariha's right. There's not that many interesting character moments beyond a little bit of stuff with Dakin. But more than anything, I was just reading this very impressed with the arts. But as we kind of talked about with the New Mutants issue recently, this very much felt like a middle chapter that is setting up the next thing. So I'm going to give it 4 witches out of 5.
I think I caught some of those vibes as well in that I loved it. It was gorgeous. I definitely don't not like it. But I just felt like it was maybe in a rush, which is a good thing. I would prefer a book that's in a rush to cover a lot of plot than a decompressed book. I'm sure there are some books out there that just would have played out the murder mystery of them all dying to the Morgan in the Bone House and then ended with them getting resurrected and just cut there. But Leah Williams and Baldion pressed on to get their encounter with the Morgan into it as well, which I think is good. But I just felt like it needed a little bit more space. I had questions. I wanted to see more of the confrontation between Dakin and the Morgan. I wanted to see more of the confrontation between Polaris and Rachel and the Morgan. So I can't take too many points off because I prefer a thing to move quickly. But I just think as an artifact, as a single issue, it probably just needed another few pages to really make these moments that we've been building up to for quite some time, frankly, feel as satisfying as they could have felt.
The pacing feels a little odd, the way they kind of address the flashback, the flash forward from last issue, and kind of the way to look at it here, and then the way to kind of jump to the next thing. It's not bad per se, but I did feel a little unstable during it. I don't know.
But then at the same time, though, I kind of appreciated that it's we already know in the last issue that everyone else is dead, except for 3 of them. And
so we don't need to zoom in on why they died.
We don't need to look at that. Yeah, Morrigan killed them. Okay, and they can come back. So move on. Let's move on. So I think I really appreciate it. So then there was time for them to come back and then take on Morrigan again. Otherwise, we would have spent more time on that. What's the point? We already know that.
And to that point, I think a lot of creative teams would have chosen to go with those horrific moments to for whatever reason. And I like here that the only moment we get with North Star and Aurora before they're killed is them just being siblings together and watching television and getting on each other's nerves for a page, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of comics probably wouldn't have taken the time to put that in. And when I say it needed a few more pages, it's because I would not have cut that scene. I think that was a great scene to have.
Yeah.
I think this, and so I wouldn't ever say, oh, I wish it did less of the interpersonal stuff. I just wish there was a little bit more room for some of those things to blossom. But, you know, after that scene, we open on Eyeboy, who definitely knows something is wrong in some really beautiful pages of the architecture of the inside of the boneyard. But Eyeboy doesn't seem to be able to put his finger or one of his many, many eyeballs on it. And it kind of leads to the team getting killed because he can't quite get there. What did you think about this whole sequence? Was it building in suspense for you? Or do you think because we already had a reveal at the end of last issue where you're like, okay, let's get to it?
So for me, though, it's like, I just kept on saying that, oh, how far Eyeboy has come. Because, you know, he was first introduced as this goofy character who just showed up in Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah.
Like just showed up in Wolverine and the X-Men. And so since then, he has now honing into his power. There's like so much more going on with it. And, you know, it was like he quite is not sure, but then he knows that these existed. And then there's also other people who have picked up on it, that, you know, the young mutant has showing a lot of promises. I really liked that he's having so much more to do, but then it also kind of brings back to the C2E2 that Harry was talking about, where there was a panel with Jonathan Hickman and Jason Aaron, and Hickman actually told him that just wait till you see what I do with Eyeboy. I would always remember that. So even though it wasn't him doing it,
it came through.
He actually pushed. It came through at the end. So I was just kind of thinking about that. And from that point of view, I'm just really liking that he's taking not a leader, but a very, like, you know, an interesting character with, like, you know, a lot of interesting. I mean, who would have thought Eyeboy in X Factor? So
I love it.
So from that point of view, I think he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think what you were talking about, Peter, it was a little, I don't want to say redundant, but it did feel a little bit like, let's just get to the thing already, since we already established that the Morrigan's here. Now, that said, I love the framing and sense of atmosphere in that scene, with just Eyeboy just looking just stark, like shocked, and you're just in like this dark area. It really kind of sets the mood well. It's kind of hard to be mad about pacing when the art's this good. So that was kind of my big take from that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was as well. Like, it's not, again, I don't think any page was wasted here. But I really think that they were not wasted, especially because the artwork was so good. The manifestation of Eyeboy's power, and then we flash to Daken alone in the bath, and we see this beautiful, huge room of him kind of just emerging naked from the bath, in the same way we saw the giant, beautiful atrium all surrounding Eyeboy. And I think to just give us this sense of space, and then to back out and use Eyeboy's power to see that he sees Morgan kind of infusing every single bit of the space. I think that kind of sold the creepiness of it. Like, it wasn't just this one person like creeping around behind them that's going to stab them in the back. It was kind of just like she was everywhere in the whole boneyard. And I think that you needed these pages to sell it, personally. But then we get into her actual haunting, right? So Eyeboy's scared. His fear pheromones that he's putting out pulls Daken into his room, and we discovered that the only ones who have escaped the Morgan's wrath so far are Eyeboy, Daken, and Prodigy. And we're going to get to Prodigy's revelation about his photograph a little bit later. But I want to ask you, like, so what is Morgan's play here? What she knows about resurrection, clearly, because her host keeps getting resurrected. What is she gaining from this team wipe of the X Factor team, Tyler?
That's the part which I have no idea. And what I mentioned about, I mean, intrigue, I think this is part of it, especially, you know, the right at the end, you know, X Factor seems to have figured out what is happening and what needs to be done. They are just missing that piece of information, which, you know, right at the end, they were just asking Siren, what did you do? What was the new pact with Morgan? So I guess we'll find out next issue. But before we jump away, I mean, I want to like add on to what you guys mentioned earlier in terms of like the establishing shots of the architecture of Boneyard. I mean, we have two really beautiful panels that are framed almost exactly the same way. Like it's a far shot, and there's only one lone figure like in the middle, and it's a really small figure, and then you see the architecture of the Boneyard. Like the first one is Eyeboy, and then the second one is Darken in the sauna. I think that's they have a name. I forgot the name of
I
the
was
location.
not noticing anything in that other than 6 abs. That's all I was noticing.
Okay.
How do you
blame you.
notice the abs when his back is facing you?
The bottom panel got the
bottom
abs.
abs.
Yeah.
The melons. The melons.
Oh my God. You know, if the gender was reversed, we would be in trouble. But anyway, get us out of here.
Get us out of here.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, so the whole team wipes effectively. Does anybody else have any opinions, thoughts, and theories about, you know, why Morgan is doing this from a strategic level other than just it makes for a good story?
I think Morgan is still kind of after X Factor, and she doesn't care who's in the X Factor. If the team name is X Factor, she's coming after them. It just felt like that. Like, honestly, like it's like, oh my God, that other time X Factor got me. So this is X Factor. I don't care. Jamie Madrox is not here. I'm going to go after them.
If you choose this branding, I am wrecking your day.
Yeah, exactly. She's anti-brand, anti-X Factor brand. As of right now, that's what it feels like. But, you know, Tyler's right, because it's just like at the end, he like North Star asks, what new deal you made? And she's paying the price. And correct me if I'm wrong, Terry is, like, Siren is in the team, right? She's part of the X Factor team?
Not
part of the previous
officially.
X Factor team.
No, I know she was.
I mean, I think they would be happy to have her, but I don't think we've seen that she's officially on the
Okay,
team.
so officially she's not. Okay, because I know. So that's what I was also thinking. That is it because she's part, like she wants to get rid of her team first all the time. Is that the deal? But if she's not on the team, then like, you know, yeah, it's just the X Factor branding.
Yeah, well, she's been around, right? We saw in X Factor 4 because of everybody that were hurt in the X of Swords excursion, and she was part of the people bringing them back because her dad was one of the people who was hurt. And then we saw last issue or 2 issues ago where she like storms into the boneyard and they're trying to have her not see the body garden. And so she like clearly wasn't like on the team or living with the team at that point. But here's the thing I'm going to throw out, which I think takes us to our next discussion point. The benefit of killing them all is that resurrection isn't instantaneous and people lose some information when they get resurrected. And we can see that in this resurrection sequence because Dakin doesn't remember anything from his last death at the hands of Morgan in the ice field to when he's been made awakened here because he hasn't had enough time to have a backup in that period. Although it seems like some other characters, particularly Aurora, have had a backup in that period. So it's clearly a rolling system.
But isn't it a sad thing that like Dakin forgot the first kiss with Aurora?
That's why.
Yeah, so he keeps forgetting all of his Aurora moments.
But that's what I'm saying. What is up with these mutant men for forgetting their love affairs with their ladies all the time?
No, because they die a lot of times. That's why.
No, that's not fair.
That's why it's good though.
I know.
No, I don't want men to always forget. What kind of nonsensical stereotype is that the men will forget and the women's like, well, do you remember? I mean, oh my God, do you remember what just happened?
I know. I would like to see it the other way too. We'll get there. Yeah.
Aurora was more like, now I know something more than you do. She wasn't like, don't you remember that? Oh, how come you don't remember that? She was not going that direction. She was going
but that was her
direction.
first concern. Like, that was her first concern. It's like, oh, what is the last thing you remember?
Yeah, but
then again, it's Dakin.
Yeah, so my takeaway is more like, she kind of doesn't want him to remember. So that she has like, oh yeah, I remember, but you don't.
Well, to me, that connects a little bit to why I think maybe Morgan has done this, which is, did someone learn something critical about her pretty recently? Does it help her a little bit to kind of plunge them back into this uncertainty? Does she know something about the resurrection process that because Siren has died so many times that they don't all appreciate? You know, this makes us have to take into account what we learned in X-Men 18 a week ago about every time people are getting resurrected and put into a new husk, their powers are getting a little bit of a boost because it's a husk that's being activated for the first time. Siren now is several iterations into that, where some of these folks have not died at all yet that we know of. So there's I mean, I don't think it says explicitly any of those things, but as I was thinking, why would you go and kill this team? I was thinking of all of that stuff. But before we can get any farther, I think this brings up one other topic too, and you can choose what of this you want to dig into, which is Prodigy. Prodigy has already had one of these missing time when he dies moments. Yeah. And while Morgan was haunting the boneyard, he's digging into this picture that is of him and of Tommy kissing and realizing that it's everything about it is spoofed. It wasn't taken when people thought it was taken. It wasn't in the place that he thought it was. It was deliberately meant to mislead, which only seems like something he would be so calculated as to do. So why is he misleading himself about when he died before he actually died? And so I think that this whole sequence brings up a lot of questions about this kind of lame duck period between when you're left backed up and when you die, which is turning into a really fascinating beat here in X Factor.
The blind spot.
And yeah, we could call it the blind spot. Anything you want to say about it, whether it's specific to Prodigy, general to the whole team, specific to Doc and Harry, what's jumping out at you about this?
I mean, I don't know what it is, to be honest. I know that's not great for a discussion show, but I just am kind of along with the ride, whatever he's planning. But like, I do love that this book is addressing just like there are these blank periods in theory if you die too fast, and that's such a thing you could ignore if you wanted to or don't care about the story, but like they're taking the time to dig into that in a super interesting way. I do mean interesting. It's like I'm very interested to see what happens with Prodigy here. It's just one of those tiny little touches that are just paying off so well, which is why this book is so good.
And then this also kind of proves that the existence of this book kind of proves that general readers lack imagination so much, because I have seen so many times people are like, oh, they can't die anymore? That means it's boring. Well, you know what, people? You just suck in imagination. You just suck. You just have no imagination.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you are just dumb. I'm sorry, because this is what happens when you resurrect, because things are not normal. You're gonna forget the time you kissed that girl. You're gonna forget that, like how many times you've died. You're gonna forget who the killer was
that you just figured out,
and then you're gonna come back. Your powers are probably like wreaking havoc on you, and you have no idea. It's probably killing you, and you don't know. So yeah, these are the things that can happen, and X Factor is here to tell you all about it. Read X Factor, people.
That's what I was gonna say earlier. Like, like Doc can't really die, or he can get brought back now, but like the fact that he lost that super tender moment with him and Aurora, like that hits so much more. That's like something that they lost, and that's like that fits so much more on a drama level, which fits for X-Men, and it just feels like there are different stakes, but there are real stakes. It's just really good.
But I'm telling you, I there is an evil, depowered Prodigy running about outside Krakoa. I'm just saying that.
I believe you. I think you're right. I totally think
from New Mutant that both Tyler and I recently read, and not New Mutant, sorry, New X-Men that we're just we're all hyped up about. Yeah, that's what he's running around. He's there. Yeah. I believe you, Tyler.
Well, and I think I don't want to repeat everything for you, Sex Free. I think you totally nailed it. It's every time you create a new status quo, some people look at a new status quo like it's the smooth blank slate, and they're like, what are going to be the problems? What are going to be the stakes? But like every new form of economy has a different challenge of the currency of it. And so this new form of economy is like death isn't valued the same. But now there's all of these different currencies around death. Is there a benefit from coming back over and over again? Yes, actually, as it turns out. But what do you lose? What does that mean for your relationships? Do you stop feeling like an authentic person because there are moments that you can't say if they're yours or not. You know, I think everybody here read Empire, the Empire X-Men tie-ins. And we had this moment between, you know, a reawakened zombie of an X-Man on Genosha, and then the current version of that same person on
Explodey Boy.
Yeah, Explodey Boy, and having this reckoning of like the one version of him was remembering more of his life than he could, but he was the future, better, more healed version, but they were both him, you know? And I just think it's just such a beat to play. I think it's so fascinating. We never had this before.
And R.I.P. Explodey Boy. He died in Otherworld, and it's not the same.
Oh no, I know.
Oh my god.
But
oh my god, that Empire tie-in wrecked me. Like I was done.
Yeah.
Like it was it wrecked me.
I mean, not to go full spoilers, and I won't actually, none of us can actually say anything past what I'm saying here other than agreement or not, but similar themes in WandaVision, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. We'll do our full spoilers of WandaVision chat some other time.
Also to our point, I mean, to what we discussed here, right? Carl was asking that question, like, how do I know it's you? You know,
right? Because that's a reflection. Do other people in your life believe it's really you?
Yeah.
Because you're missing things that are true for them.
Yeah.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that like he recognized the North Star that was like lovey-dovey instead of the asshole North Star. so I thought that was really funny because it's like North Star presented himself as a different person to someone he really loves, as opposed to someone he, you know, to his team or his teammate or even his sister. Like he's more impatient with them. He's more by the book with them and the kind of thing. It's like, yeah, you know, like his answer to to Professor X. It's like, no.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about that. You know, if this is the time or maybe later, because
let's talk about it now.
Yeah, it's like, why?
Because
like, why?
They do not want iBoy to see Moira in the North Place. So Professor X is asking that. And my sense is that the reason why North Star is doing this is maybe because of the general distrust with the Quiet Council.
No, I get that.
I don't feel like North Star's like as tied into that though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It didn't feel like he knows any of this, or and I know that the Professor X probably has some ulterior motive, because that's what his whole characteristics is. But the thing is, like, why is he being so? It's like, no, North Star. It's like, why? Okay, like, I mean, just be like, okay, we'll keep you posted, and never post it. But it just, I mean, I was like, okay, why are you just being mean for the sake of being mean? I don't know. I didn't quite get that. I'm like,
I saw it as a little bit of a development of, and I'm interested to hear what Harry has to say. I thought of it was a little bit of a development of this dad, North Star. Like, he's never really felt custodial towards other people. And he has these younger people on the team, and we've seen that expressed already on the panel with Prodigy. But here's this creepy Xavier coming down and being like, oh, tell me about Trevor's new developments. Oh. And North Star is just like, get out of here. Because you have to think that North Star is one of the few X-Men who have never been through this Xavier School for the Gifted machine. Like, he's totally to the side of that, and he sees this like usurious version of Xavier like coming for one of his kids,
like,
and he's like, no.
The panel is so nice. Off. He just like super speed. He's just like, what's going on? What are you trying to do?
yeah, exactly. Really no, I mean, when you use that voice, I kind of get that.
Yeah, now please make that his voice for every appearance going forward.
Like, yeah. So when you make that Xavier voice, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
I mean, on North Star itself, right? Like, we recently recorded an episode where of Reread, where Peter revealed something about North Star that I didn't know.
That he was meant to be an elf?
Yeah. And then I started noticing the elf ears here.
That's like the first thing, man. I thought he was an elf the first time I saw him. Sorry, not to go like that.
Did you not see the elf ears here? Fariha?
Yeah, he's looked like an elf since
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
the ears are all
pointers.
there.
Yeah.
To be
Like,
honest, though, I'm not a fan of Baltion's facial expression to begin with because everyone kind of looks like an elf. Like, so it's hard to kind of. I'm sorry, his
God
face
damn
is
it.
not like, I mean, he redeemed himself by by Dakin being shirtless over here. My goodness, but the thing is, like, otherwise, like, I. With faces, I'm like, if they all come together in the gala and then the exact writer doing it, these X Factor characters are gonna look weird as F. Like, they're just gonna
We're
look.
putting our chips down now to see that play out later. The weird X Fire gala, guys.
They're like everyone's gonna look normal, and they're just gonna look like I don't know.
Well,
Ugh.
I love.
He does
I
have a
love
little
weird
thing where like
little
all of the
characters.
jaws kind of come to a little bit of a point
Yes.
on every single character.
Ugh.
So to close out this section though, I was fascinated with how many different ones of them were in an argument with Xavier. It was not just North Star. Polaris was also like, don't tell my dad about this, and we don't need your backup. And X Factor will handle it because it's creating this team of like, they're saying that they're so good at investigating, but now they're starting to keep things from each other and they want to keep things from Xavier. But I think the point of like, at some point are they going to grow so much that they pose a risk to the Quiet Council and to the whole Mora and everything, because they've managed to get their leash to be lengthened in a way that so far we've only seen X-Force's leash get lengthened. But now we have Scott and Jean also saying they want to have their own X-Men team and they're going to do their own thing outside the purview of the Quiet Council. It really feels like one of the developing themes in this reign of X is that people are getting farther away from the center, but what is that going to do for the amount of control that's able to be exercised?
I feel like for X-Force, they are getting a longer leash, but still at the end is held by Xavier.
Right.
Here, X Factor is basically saying, no, I don't want you to even hold the leash.
Yeah, they don't have any oversight.
No
they don't
leash.
have any sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want any sponsor. Basically, North Star is saying that. And, basically, Polaris is saying that. I mean, sadly, I think, unfortunately, she's going to be on X-Men.
We'll see about that.
Peter's gonna stop it.
We're getting
Peter's
tempo in X-Men. But the thing is, I'm glad that Harry pointed it out. Though I'm remembering it where he's like, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing? What are you talking about? What hell? What's that?" There's like a line still.
And we learned from Twitter that Baldian and colorist Israel Silva have developed this wonderful visual language where Baldian actually draws in most of those motion lines for North Star, but he doesn't dictate how that color separation is going to happen. And they have their own little toolbox of different ways to show him speeding around. It was actually in a conversation with us on Twitter, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So shout out to David Baldian for just being awesome, and Israel Silva for that matter, because it's cool. So
it looks so cool. That's all I want to say. It looks so friggin' cool.
So now let's move on to this final scene where they go to haunt the boneyard. I kind of wish we got a little bit more. There was this implication that Morgan's like haunting the boneyard, so she's using the bodies from the boneyard as zombies, but then Polaris is also using other bodies, that including the dead siren bodies, as counter zombies. I needed like one more page. I don't know. Am I just reading too quickly, or was it a little confusing?
No, it's confusing. And there's also like the art's amazing. I love the way they depict the Morgan, but it's super esoteric and crazy, like energy lines and everywhere. It can be, that's what energy lines are. That's how you do it. It's a little hard to figure out exactly what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote, sorry, go ahead first.
No, I'm just saying that if Claremont wrote it, there would be so many yellow boxes. We would know exactly what everyone's doing. Like, there would be like 3 other issues of just this. And so now that we didn't get that.
To be fair though, Claremont is really efficient with like action scenes. So he doesn't stretch out like one fight scenes over like 3 issues or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but yes,
I know he doesn't. But he would put that much caption worth of 3 issues. That's what I was talking about. Like 3 issues worth of caption about please kill me. Like, or the characters as they're doing it. It's like, I am doing this. I'm throwing my orb at this to do this, and you're like, oh, kill me. So from that point of view, I think it worked, but it was a little, but I want to say though, how stylish is North Star's get up in this
God,
sequence.
He looks good.
I just loved all of them. I loved Polaris and like the plaid high-waisted pants. Like it was just, the fashion was great.
No, because the thing is, his is actually like in a shiny, so it's kind of like what Peter is wearing, but it's a black shiny and stuff like that. It just like, and then I actually looked, the color was also shiny, but like with his long hair and then the thing, and then it's a V-neck. It's like like.
So you're saying that I should be doing North Star
out.
cosplay is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, definitely do it. I already told you, you kind of have the attitude of North Star.
You do,
so just emulate it. Like, wear that black and black and then just go for it.
He looks like
Go
he's
nuts, my
going
friend.
out like to a party or a club. He really just straight up just club look like.
I saw people
I mean-
online saying like that is such a like Quebecois guy, you know, his
what I'm
like
saying,
loungewear, which I
Come
don't
on,
know
he's-
anything about, but I thought that was really funny.
He is French and gay, or Canadian French. Okay, so,
Yeah,
like
like,
that's how he does things.
Just good.
like, yeah, like it's just so stylish. And
Yeah.
it's right though, because when I was in Montreal, I did see that much stylish people that I don't see outside of Montreal. So yeah, super. I mean, I just love that.
But
Oh,
also
so
just
good.
like, you know, it's the fact that somebody's thinking about this stuff. I think some people who really like to draw fashion would just draw whatever fashion they want. You know, you could see them with their mood board of like, oh, I wanted to pull in this and that. But these really
Pinterest
work for
board.
the characters. Like with Rachel, she's in this very like utilitarian, almost like military jumpsuit
Military,
onesie
yeah.
thing. It's a kind of military, but it's like bulky and she's not showing off her curves, which is like really different than how she dresses when she's in superhero gear. And I just really felt like it was thought through. And it's really fun. You know, Hickman made this big deal. Like everybody's got all this stuff in their closets, but I don't feel like many of the books are really talking about what clothes mean to mutants other than some of the Jumbo Carnation stuff. And in this book, without ever saying anything, I feel like it's saying a ton about what clothes mean to these people and what they're expressing about themselves.
And
We've now
I-
seen some
I
of them in their
want-
actual X-Men uniforms, their X-Factor uniforms, their casual uniforms, their
Yeah.
pajamas. Like we've seen them go through a lot of clothing.
and
And I
I've always
want
got
one
his
issue. I want one issue dedicated to Dakin's thought about clothes, because it seems
The
like
lack
he
thereof.
is.
Yeah, lack thereof.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's like, these abs are my
So
clothes.
here is my wardrobe. Where are
It's
your
not there.
shirts?
Yeah, it's just all
No.
sarongs.
Yeah, is that
The whole
all?
closet
all
of sarongs.
the-
Oh,
yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, Harry,
I
what were you
love- I
going to
love-
say there?
No, I just love iBoy's kind of like almost not totally grungy, but kind of like chill clothes in his little beanie. Like it does get a lot across. iBoy's just kind of just like a dude's rock kind of thing, you know.
But he also have like fake eyes on his shoes.
Yeah. It's
Are they
cool.
fake eyes, or is it that he has like a hole to show through his
No.
feet eyes?
Remember in issue 1, he was sticking.
Oh, that's
my
right. He's
eye
playing
on
the
the-
little-
Yeah.
Yes, I do. All right. Well, now that we have thoroughly covered the fashion looks here, does anybody else have any final comments about the climax of this confrontation with Morgan?
It's
I-
weird seeing big panels in this book.
Yeah.
Like big fight scene panels. Not bad, just like a total different kind of like method of storytelling. But
No,
it's good.
I think, yeah, I mean, to that, I think it is very, very satisfying to see the X Factor shine individually and as a team to get Morrigan out of Siren. Like, yeah, I mean, with the process of doing that wasn't like super clear, but I just think that like it is competence porn. Like, it's every single one is competent in what they are doing. You don't get one people who's like, I can't do it, you know, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like, it's like, yeah, like Rachel was like, yeah, I need some backup here, you know, because, you know, Morgan, well, is a death goddess. Like, they are fighting a goddess. And, you know, and I feel like, you know, they're like, you know, we can do it. And we are doing it. That's it.
And I'm also appreciate that the two of them, North Star, told that, no, you stay here. You've done enough. Just stay here. And they
Yeah.
just stayed there. They didn't have like the, we're gonna stay here because, you know, North Star told us to. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was also
Oh,
good.
again, his dad coming in is like, and the two are like, you know, the kids,
Yeah,
like just obeying him. It's like, okay.
we're just gonna be here.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that's all we have to say about X Factor issue number 8. If you are looking for other discussions of the comics out on the 10th of March, please look elsewhere in the channel because we have covered them all. So until next time, the reason we get together, the reason we do this is why, Fariha?
X-Men is better when it's read together.
That's right.
And please buy X Factor
Yes,
buy it,
help
buy
us
it, the
X
stay
hardcover.
Factor.
together reading X Factor. I think if we had to pick as a group one X title, if we only had enough
Yes.
time to do one per month, I think it would be a unanimous vote for
Yes.
X Factor. Is that
Without a
accurate?
doubt.
Yeah.
This is the
Yes.
one. This is the one oversized hardcover I want. Is X Factor.
Exactly.
We have to have it. This
Actually,
art
everything-
thing, please.
Everything else, I'm gonna wait for the omnibus or whenever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not rereading it. X Factor, the day it's announced, I'm
Yeah.
ordering it. I'm getting it.
Can I say that like I don't want an oversized hardcover. I want a gallery, the treasury size.
Oh, like Silver
Oh.
Surf
Like,
Black.
even though it's soft cover, like, because
no,
he's-
those are not soft cover. Those are hard. Like
Well,
that.
Belgian was
yeah.
talking about doing some oversized artist proof stuff on his Twitter.
Yeah.
So if you're not following, but our unified message from the four of us is buy this title. Hopefully you're loving it as much as we are. And we will absolutely be back to discuss the next issue because we would be the last thing to go if we didn't have time to do all of them. So for myself, Tyler, Harry, and Fariha, thank you so much for joining us here on This Week in X.
Bye.